All right, at this point in time, we are also being joined by Mr. Rajiv Malhotra, who's an author. Rajiv, appreciate you being here with us. What is your analysis of the impact of, the Trump tariff tantrums, if we can call it that?
Analysis is quite negative because the Indian economy has been booming, doing very well, and these tariffs are coming at the wrong time, affecting some of the important export industries, and also giving India a disadvantage, competitive disadvantage compared to other Asian countries and other countries with lower tariffs. So the impact is not very good. It's not something India is better off having. How bad it will be remains to be seen, but it could be, it's certainly bad, but it could become very bad.
And why is Trump being hostile towards India? Is it just a negotiation tactic, or is it something else?
Firstly, I think Indian media and analysts have not understood this situation. Some of them are treating it as, Trump is an immoral person, but that's irrelevant to this problem. Or Trump is wrong, we are right. He's wrong that India is a dead economy. Of course, he's wrong. Trump is playing favorites to somebody else. All of that does not change the reality. We have to deal with the reality rather than analyze it and try to win the narrative war. So if you really understand Trump, you have to understand Trump. So Trump's whole, his ideology, the Trump doctrine is basically twofold. One is personal. He has a big ego. He wants to look good and flattered. People suck up to him. When he put tariffs on other countries, the head of state called him. Modi didn't call him. The head of the European Union went to see him in person in Scotland, and they quickly cut a deal and made it 15% or something like that. He's heard from Japan. The head of he's had conversations with President Xi. So he keeps talking to people, and he likes it. He likes to be able to show off. So he was a show off, and he wants to show off that so and so called me and we cut a deal. It's a great deal. So India hasn't done that to him. India is very proud and for good reason, and India doesn't need to suck up to him. And it bothers him. So one is his ego. The second is that he wants to bring manufacturing back to the United States. He doesn't have too many weapons left. One of the big weapons is the American consumer economy is very big, and everybody wants to export to the United States. So he can put tariffs and make the countries compete against each other and try to have them get them to locate their manufacturing in the U.S. And that strategy is working. I mean, the Arabs have committed $1.5 trillion. The Japanese have committed a large amount of money, hundreds of billions. So if you look around all the different FDI into the United States, it is $5 to $8 trillion already that have been committed. So his strategy of bullying people has worked. Now, India is a very interesting situation because India does not want to be bullied. Politically, no prime minister can afford to show that, I've accepted somebody else's pressure. It would not be good for politics. So that's kind of an ego thing. That is what has pissed him off, if I may say so. And these Pakistanis, on the other hand, have sucked up to him. They'll nominate him for a Nobel Prize. So there is all this chemistry issue between Trump and Modi, I think, that has become a factor.
And how do you feel as an Indian, living in America and observing all of this?
I feel very upset as an Indian. I have fought the biases against India for my entire adult life, and stuck my neck out living in the U.S. Right in the lion's den. I've been fighting these battles, so I'm very upset at this. I did not, frankly, expect this, but I think I'll tell you something has happened which the public doesn't know. I don't know. Something went wrong in the chemistry, friendship, so-called friendship between Modi and Trump. This is not the way friends operate. Friends, if they have an issue, they pick up the phone, call, and have a friendly chat and sort it out. But something has gone wrong. There was this Modi-Trump friendship in the first Trump administration, but in the second Trump administration, which is 7 months long so far, that same bonhomie hasn't been there. The way Modi was invited at the inauguration, the way he's hosting this Munir from Pakistan, but not giving the same respect to Modi. So I think something has happened in their chemistry, and I don't know what it is. But it is not just the merits of the case. There is some. He's very fragile ego. Trump has a very fragile ego, and something has bothered him so much that he's gone out of his way to do these weird things like calling India a dead economy. Putting tariffs on India for buying oil when China buys more oil. And all kind of nonsensical, irrational, inconsistent policies. So I absolutely do not support any of that. Now the question is, what should India do, and what is the likely impact, and how can India control the damage? First of all, India should not try to expand this clash into all Americans. So much on social media and everywhere, people are saying all Americans are bad or all governments have been bad. You're escalating the fight. You're expanding the fight. Americans in general don't necessarily agree with Trump. Certainly, his opponents don't. Even in his own party, because he's a bully and because he can ruin your career, people go along with it. So, if there's a problem with Trump, it should be looked at in a surgical way and not seen that, okay, all Americans are bad, all American politics is bad, all presidents have been bad. That is not the case. There's a lot of voices within the United States right now who are criticizing Trump for all these tariffs, in particular the tariffs on India. But his own cabinet dare not speak like that, and his own party dare not speak like that. So the problem should, firstly, India should locate the problem as a Trump problem rather than United States problem. And as a Trump problem, it should look at it in terms of why is he doing this, what has hurt him, what could we do to counter it. And he's a very kind of a vulnerable to flattery person. And India could have played that game, but did not. I guess that's the choice India made.
And what are the opportunities, amidst Donald Trump's tantrums for India? Is there an opportunity, do you feel?
The thing is that when you are friends with somebody, I'm sure in your own life, when you're friends with somebody, you also know that person's character. You know the weaknesses, you know the strengths, you know the tantrums, you know the moods. So if Modi is a friend of Trump, he would know these tantrums. He would be, and the Ministry of External Affairs would be advising him. This is what he's vulnerable to. This is what the other people are doing. This is what the Pakistanis are doing. MEA was taken by surprise. They should not be taken by surprise. So this is also, you have to question whether our side had a proper reading on Trump and then played the cards accordingly, or did we not take him seriously enough that he might do such things, and so we are paying the price of it. Of course, what he's done is unreasonable and wrong. No, there's no doubt about it. But when you are dealing with a very important, in a business, when you're dealing with a very important party, and you do want a deal, and you know that this party has character problems, this party has all kind of problems, and may be under the wrong influences, you take that into account when you're dealing with them. Did we properly take into account that this is the Trump this is Trump's character? For example, it meant a lot to him to convince India that he brokered the peace. It meant a lot. Now, whether it is true or false is besides the point. This is diplomacy. You flatter people, you praise people, doesn't mean that it's always true, but that's how the game is played. Now, as a matter of fact, Trump did send Secretary of State Rubio and the Vice President to try and make peace between the two countries, India and Pakistan. He did say. So he did try that. So you cannot say he did nothing. Now, maybe it was not the reason India declared ceasefire. Maybe the reason was something else. But India could have been a little more polite. India could have said something like this: United States is a great friend of ours, and we have tremendous respect for Donald Trump, and we really appreciate all his efforts to bring about world peace and his good wishes to us to sort it out in an amicable way. Now, that doesn't say we are admitting he made the peace deal, but we are not slapping him in the face, like calling him up and saying, hey, you are a liar. I mean, it's almost like Jay Shankar went on and on and on, basically saying, you, Trump, are a liar. Now, you don't have to say that. You don't have to say that. You don't have to admit to something false that he's claiming, but you can be. This is where diplomacy comes in. Diplomatic language can be a little bit vague, and you can work it out. So I think India could have played its cards a little more tactfully if it knew Trump's tantrums and his character, because you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot just to be able to say I am true, you are false, I'm speaking the truth. Who cares whether you're speaking the truth and the other guy is speaking a lie? The point is, what's the outcome of the transaction? It's a transactional world. So that's how I feel about it.
Do you think that Trump is making a mistake perhaps by upsetting the Indian diaspora as well in the US?
He's not concerned about Indian diaspora is a very tiny part of his vote bank. The mistake Trump is making is that all over the world he's spoiling relationships that the United States has had with many countries, with many countries, by being a bully and by making them accept whatever his terms are, and then changing his mind and then calling them names, and then he is ruining U.S. relations with many countries. And the he may succeed in getting the economy helped with tariffs and bringing many manufacturing jobs back into the United States, but at what cost? The relationships could be ruined on a long-term basis, and also he will be dismantling some structures, some international structures, some treaties, some conventions, the WTO, all kind of things. By dismantling these international structures, he's pushing people into China's arms. So, when you look at all the different things that are at all the different stakes out there, United States getting some tariff money and bringing manufacturing jobs into the US is only one part of the American vested interest, and he might win on that. But having good relations with all kinds of countries is also very important, and having structures, multilateral structures, treaties honored, which United States put together. US is the country that after World War II put the entire world order together. And Trump is dismantling the world order. He's dismantling free trade, globalization, all of that stuff, which is what has helped America. So I think the mistake he's making is not, India specific. He's making some strategic errors, while I also appreciate some good things he's done. Closing the southern border with Mexico to prevent illegal aliens and throwing the illegal aliens out is a good thing. Every American supports that. Going after Harvard's woke, ultra left wing, policies, anti-Semitism, going after them, punishing them is a good thing. So there are many good things he's doing. But I think as far as this economic war with the rest of the world, arbitrary, you see what he could have done is he could have published a consistent set of rules. He could have said countries that are of this character, of this level of trade deficit, the tariff will be so much. If the trade deficit is that much, the tariff will be that much. He could come up with an algorithm. He could come up with rules. He could come up with a policy statement and then be consistent, not keep changing his mind, saying, okay, I don't like this guy, I'll give him more tariff. This guy is my friend, he complimented me, praised me, hugged me, so I'll give him less tariff. That is very immature and amateurish. Tariffs could have been done in a very professional way, and should have been done in a very professional way. The principle of using tariffs is a good idea, but they have to be used consistently and very intelligently and in a very transparent way, which is not how Trump did it.
All right, last question before we let you go. What do you see as the long-term impact of this Trump offensive, if we can call it that?
Indian economy will suffer for sure. But I do not think India should succumb to the demand that we should stop buying oil from Russia. Russia is the one consistent ally we've had. A lot of our military supplies depend on Russia. And so I don't think we should acquiesce. One thing I would suggest is this, and it's probably not a popular suggestion because people think that, the government and MEA know what everything is best for us. But I tell you, we should have had a different kind of ambassador in Washington. We should have had somebody more like an industrialist or a military leader, people who are very westernized, Indians who are very westernized, who've done deals with the Western world, who are transactional oriented, who are very kind of have a certain body language and a certain chemistry in dealing with Westerners, that would have done very well. Trump's cabinet is filled with many industrialists, people from the business industry sector, and they talk a certain language. Businessmen talk a certain language. India's entire MEA is bureaucrats. The Sarkari Babu type irritates Trump. He's against his own federal government. He says, I'm draining the swamp in Washington. He's kicking people out right and left, bringing in people from the corporate sector. See, he hates this bureaucratic mindset and the way they talk and the way they are and that sort of thing. Just bothers the hell out of him. India should have picked a better, India should have read his mind better and picked a different kind of ambassador. One of the top Indian industrialists could have been sent as India's ambassador and probably done well. That's just my speculation.
All right, appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much.